The second I stepped inside the massive wooden entrance, a strange feeling settled in my chest. Either I had just made the smartest decision of my life, or I had walked straight into a nightmare I wouldn't escape easily. Patricia Whitmore looked at me the way someone examines a suspicious stain on a designer carpet. Her lips curved into a stiff smile that didn't reach her eyes. Slowly, her gaze moved from my plain navy dress to my simple shoes, then to my tiny earrings, the kind you buy from a regular store, not a luxury boutique. I could practically see the numbers running through her head. In her silent calculation, I came up as worthless. She leaned close to her son, my fiancé, Marcus, and whispered something she assumed I wouldn't catch. But I did. She said I looked like household staff who had entered through the wrong door. And in that exact moment, I realized this dinner was about to become unforgettable. My name is Ella Graham. I'm 32 years old, and I've been hiding a truth from the man I plan to marry. Not a small truth. Not a harmless secret. A life-changing one. For the past 14 months, Marcus believed I was barely surviving on a modest salary. What he didn't know was that I earned over $37,000 every single month. I'm a senior software architect at one of the biggest technology companies in the Pacific Northwest. I started coding as a teenager, sold my first mobile application in my early 20s, and spent the next decade climbing through the industry. I hold multiple patents, speak at global tech conferences, and own company shares that could buy luxury cars without blinking. Yet Marcus believed I was an ordinary office assistant struggling to pay rent. I never directly lied. When we met at a small coffee shop over a year ago, he asked what I did for work. I told him I worked in tech. He nodded, then casually asked if I handled scheduling for executives. I smiled and said I supported the team. He filled in the rest himself. And I never corrected him.
Why?
Because of my grandmother. She raised me after my parents died when I was 7. We lived simply. Small home, old car, ordinary groceries. No flashy clothes. No luxury. She taught me to value character over money. Only after her death did I discover she had quietly built a business empire worth millions. In her final letter, she wrote words that shaped my life. You only see who people truly are when they think you have nothing to offer them. So when Marcus invited me to dinner at his parents' estate, hinting at a serious announcement, I decided to test that lesson. I wore simple clothes, drove my old car, spoke modestly. I wanted to see who they really were. And the Whitmore estate did not disappoint. The gates alone looked expensive enough to fund a small school. Perfect lawns, polished stone paths, golden accents everywhere. Wealth displayed loudly. As I parked my aging Subaru beside rows of luxury vehicles, I caught my reflection in the mirror.
Simple. Plain.
Invisible.
Perfect.
Marcus greeted me with a quick kiss that felt more for show than affection. His eyes flicked toward my clothes, and I noticed something new in his expression. Embarrassment. Inside, everything screamed excess. Crystal chandeliers. Golden frames. Oversized furniture chosen for beauty, not comfort. And standing at the center like royalty was Patricia Whitmore. Her handshake was cold, dismissive, calculated. Dinner unfolded exactly as I feared. Patricia and her daughter, Vivian, asked questions designed to remind me of my place. They spoke of wealth, connections, social status, all while subtly pointing out my lack of each. Vivian arrived late, glittering in diamonds, greeting me with a single word. Hello. Not warmth, not kindness, just judgment. They spoke openly about Marcus's ex-girlfriend, Alexandra, beautiful, wealthy, powerful. Her name was repeated again and again, like a deliberate reminder. The message was clear. She was the woman they wanted. I was the mistake. Marcus sat quietly, watching, saying nothing. That silence told me everything. By the time dessert arrived, I knew. This family measured human worth in money. And to them, I had none. But what I would soon discover would change everything. After dinner, Patricia announced that everyone would move to the sitting lounge for coffee. The atmosphere inside the mansion still felt cold, formal, and judgmental. Even though the house was luxurious, it felt empty, as if no real warmth had ever lived there. Marcus offered to show me the way to the restroom. As I walked down the hallway, I noticed how silent everything was. That silence suddenly broke when I heard voices coming from a half-open door. Patricia and Vivian. I stopped instantly, my heart pounding. Patricia spoke in a sharp, irritated tone. "This girl staying in our lives is dangerous. Marcus must not marry her." Vivian scoffed. "I still can't believe he let it go this far. She was only supposed to be temporary."
Temporary.
My chest tightened. Patricia continued. "She is a risk to our entire plan. If Marcus marries her, the Castellano deal is over." The Castellano family. Alexandra's family. My breath caught. Vivian lowered her voice. "That deal must happen. The business is already bleeding. If the merger fails, our dealership network will collapse within a year." So that was it. The Whitmore empire was falling apart. Patricia exhaled slowly. "Marcus must stay connected to Alexandra. This girl is just a distraction."
Distraction.
Vivian laughed coldly. "She actually believes he loves her. Poor thing. She doesn't realize she's just a placeholder." The word burned. Patricia added, "We'll force a public engagement. Once she's locked in, we'll slowly push her out. A scandal, a story, whatever it takes." They laughed. And in that moment, something inside me hardened. I hadn't come here to fight. I had only come to observe. But now I knew the truth. Marcus wasn't confused. He was part of the scheme. I quietly stepped away and went into the restroom. Staring at my reflection, I felt no tears, only resolve. If they thought I was naive, they had no idea who they were dealing with. When I returned to the lounge, the setting had changed. The lights were softer. The furniture had been rearranged. There was anticipation in the air. Marcus stood in the center of the room, nervous but determined.
He took my hand.
"Ella, I want to ask you something." Then he dropped to one knee. A diamond ring sparkled under the chandelier. Big, expensive, theatrical. "Will you marry me?" Patricia looked delighted. Vivian looked victorious. I understood instantly. This proposal wasn't love.
It was business strategy.
I had two choices. Expose everything now, or play along. I smiled. Yes. Relief washed over Marcus's face. Applause filled the room. Patricia hugged me tightly, whispering forced congratulations. But inside, I was calm, because the real game had just begun. That night, I didn't sleep. I researched corporate filings, financial statements, public audit records, legal documents. The truth emerged quickly. The Whitmore dealerships were drowning in debt. Their main franchise license was close to expiration. Without a major financial partner, the entire operation would collapse. That's why they needed the Castellano Group. Then I found something worse. Vivian's expense records. Unusual transfers. Cash withdrawals. Hidden payments. After months of tracking, the total crossed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Embezzlement. Straight theft. I archived everything. Then I remembered one name. Richard Hartley. A longtime family associate. The man who had studied me carefully at dinner. With a little digging, I discovered he had unresolved business conflicts with the Whitmores and access to their weaknesses. I contacted him. The moment I said my last name, Graham, everything changed. My grandmother's legacy still commanded respect in elite circles. Richard paused before saying quietly, "I've been waiting for this day." Over the next several weeks, I became the perfect fiancé. I tolerated Patricia's subtle insults with a polite smile, ignored Vivian's sarcastic remarks, played along with Marcus's empty promises, and secretly documented everything. One night, I followed Marcus. A private restaurant. Alexandra sat across from him, their hands intertwined. Soft laughter. Intimate whispers. I took photos.
Clear.
Undeniable. At that moment, all remaining doubt vanished. Marcus wasn't trapped. He was cheating. The engagement party was scheduled for exactly 4 weeks later. Patricia insisted it had to be flawless, elegant, elite, unforgettable. The guest list included influential business leaders, investors, politicians, social elites, and media personalities. For the Whitmore family, this event wasn't about celebrating love. It was about reputation. And reputation was exactly what I planned to destroy. While Patricia obsessed over decorations and menus, I was building something far more dangerous behind the scenes. Every night, after smiling through dinners and fake family conversations, I returned home and continued my work. I gathered contracts, collected financial records,
Tracked offshore accounts.
archived illegal transfers. With Richard Hartley's help, I accessed insider corporate data and verified every suspicious transaction. The evidence painted a devastating picture. Massive, undisclosed debts, fraudulent investor statements, false revenue projections, hidden loans, tax evasion, embezzlement. This wasn't a struggling business. It was a collapsing empire being artificially kept alive through lies. But exposing financial crime alone wouldn't be enough. The Whitmores were powerful. They had lawyers. They had political influence. They had money. I needed something stronger. So I reached out to 3 major corporate players, global giants in logistics, finance, and technology. Companies that had once considered partnerships with the Whitmores but had walked away due to trust concerns. When I revealed my real identity, doors opened instantly. Private meetings were scheduled. Within days, all 3 corporations expressed interest in forming alliances with me, not the Whitmores. This meant one thing. The Whitmores would lose not only their reputation, but their entire future. As the party approached, Marcus started acting differently. He became nervous, restless, unpredictable. One evening, while we sat alone in the garden, he finally asked, "Ella, what exactly do you do for work?" I looked up calmly. "Software consulting."
He frowned.
"You never talk about your company, or your clients, or your income." I smiled gently. "Does it matter?" Something dark flickered in his eyes. "You live modestly. You dress simply.
You don't act wealthy.
But you always seem in control." I reached for his hand. "Does that bother you?" He hesitated. "No, I worry. My family expects a certain image." There it was. Image. Not love. Not trust. Image. 2 days later, I received an unexpected message. Alexandra wanted to meet. We chose a quiet cafe away from the city. She arrived tense, scanning the room before sitting. "I won't waste your time," she said. "Marcus still loves me." I held her gaze. "I know." She stiffened. "He's under pressure," she continued. "His family is forcing him into this engagement. They need your image, not you." I smiled faintly. "Is that what he told you?" She nodded. "They plan to use the engagement to stabilize investor confidence. Once the merger is secured, they'll push you out." I stirred my coffee slowly. "You're late." Her eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" "I already know everything." Her confidence faltered. I leaned forward. "You're not winning, Alexandra. You're being used just like I was." Her lips parted, but no words came. "For them, you're not love." I continued calmly. "You're leverage." Silence hung between us. When she finally spoke, her voice was low. "What are you planning?" I stood, placing money on the table. Justice. The engagement party was now only days away. The guest list exceeded 300 elite figures. Media coverage